Hello everyone, this is part 22 of What If Naruto Had Some Help, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The next morning when everyone awoke, Sasuke looked around and thought, where's the dobe? As he got up and walked down the stairs. He saw Tsunami making breakfast and he asked, have you seen Naruto? Tsunami turned and she said, he left about an hour ago. He said he needed to gather his weapons from your battle yesterday. Sasuke blinked and thought, but we did that already. What are you up to? As he said, well thanks. Tell Kakashi sensei when he comes down I went to help Naruto get his weapons. As he turned and left. When Sasuke came to the clearing he saw Naruto sitting on a log reading and he walked over and asked, what's up dobe? Naruto looked up from the book he was reading and said, oh, hey Sasuke. I just came back to look at something that bothered me yesterday. Sasuke sat down beside Naruto and asked, what? As he tried to look at the book Naruto was reading and Naruto snapped it shut and said, sorry Sasuke, I know you want to know what this is and I will tell you but I won't let you read it. It's too personal. This is Mirai journal. Everything he knows about demons, Jinchurikis, seals, and a few other things like his personal thoughts. I found it this morning when I came back to find out why Sanbi couldn't escape. Sasuke blinked and a voice said, I wondered the same thing myself. As Naruto looked up and saw the rest of the black flames coming out of the woods and Naruto sighed. Neji asked, so did you find anything out? Sasuke looked at Naruto who said, yeah. We got lucky. Mirai helped us even after he was helping us. Sakura asked, what do you mean? Naruto said, look at this clearing and tell me what's wrong. Think about what happened yesterday here and see if you can figure it out. Each of them looked around and Kakashi said, I see. Making everyone look at him. Kakashi said, when Kyuubi attacked just the wind from his tails was enough to destroy trees. Sanbi was swinging its tentacle like crazy yesterday but not a single tree here was destroyed. Naruto said, it's not just that. Remember how it kept trying to go underwater but couldn't? I thought it was because the pond's too shallow. Tenten asked, isn't it? Naruto shook his head and said, that pond is salt water meaning it gets fed by the sea in an underground river. I had my clones swim as deep as they could. It's over 200 feet deep. Sanbi should have been able to swim down and get away from us but he didn't. Neji said, something was preventing it but what? Naruto opened the book and flipped a few pages and turned it around and said, this seal's all over this clearing as well as around the lake. It looks like Mirai went to demon country at some point and talked to a priestess and was taught how to do demon sealing. This seal makes a barrier that prevents demons from passing by. I guess Mirai must have spent his days here preparing this clearing so the Sanbi couldn't leave here even if we lost, and it seems there are other seals around this clearing I was just reading about that makes it where demons can't focus their energy, which is why Sanbi only attacked us with its tentacle instead of with its chakra as well. Zabuza said, so Mirai really stacked the deck against the Sanbi. Naruto nods and said, at least now H is with his wife again. I hope they're happy together. As he closed the book and pulled out a scroll and sealed it in it before he asked, so what's the plan? Zabuza said, well, I was thinking about heading over to Gato Botan. Naruto shook his head and said, don't bother. Mirai already did. As he pulled out two scrolls and said as he held one up, this one goes to the people of Wave and this other one I will be giving some of it to you all and to Konoha. In it is Gato business log detailing all his legitimate and illegal business activities. As he put both away. Kakashi said, well, it appears that things around here are ending. Let's go check on our client, shall we? Naruto nods and Guy said, after that we shall continue all of your training, causing a few to groan. The rest of the time in Wave quickly passed and the 10 ninjas were all standing on the bridge and Inari said, I will miss you all. Naruto said, no problem kid. Inari bit his lip and said, just next time, please leave that doctor guy, causing everyone who knew the truth to laugh. Kakashi said, well let's head back. As he turned and began to walk away with the others following. Zabuza asked, "You sure I will be able to join Kakashi?" Kakashi said, "If not, I can guarantee that you will at least be allowed to go to the border unhindered. I put my life on it." Zabuza nods and Naruto said, "You know, I wonder why Gigi never used that kunai to summon me back after he heard the real truth." Kakashi said, "I asked him not to because this was something you needed to do." Naruto said, "Yeah, I did. Now that I know the effect of using Kyuubi chakra will have, I won't ever use it. I am his prison and you don't let prisoners out to walk when you need them." Everyone nods slowly and Sasuke said, "So what's the plan for the flames?" Naruto thought a moment and said, "Well, I would guess the first thing to do when we get back is to figure out what we do know and what we don't. Since we will probably get a day or two off after we get back, I want everyone to write a scroll detailing what they can do and what they feel they need improvements on and what you want to do." Haku asked, "What do you mean what we want to do?" Naruto said, "Well, like how Lee wants to get into archery. That is what he wants to do. Being able to use a bow in battle would be a good advantage for him, and so he will have to put training in that area as part of his new training schedule. For me, I need to explore strategy more so I can be a better leader and also work on my chakra control and learn some better taijutsu and to battle genjutsu. With my eye I could just dispel them, but if I am not using it I am mostly a sitting duck, so those are the areas I mostly will be working on while still learning more about interrogation as well." Kakashi said, "Good plan. I would also work on reviewing what you already know because the better you know your own skills the better you can use them." Guy said, "Also all of you need to work on increasing your own stamina and endurance. The key to some battles is not who is stronger or faster but who can last the longest." Sakura asked, "What about the fire kami Naruto?" Naruto frowned and said, "Well, the first thing I have to do is talk to Ino and hopefully she will understand. That is if she doesn't K me. Then after that I need to talk with the brothel and see what they want me to do. I would say talk to a female junin, someone you can trust and you know will sponsor you, and have them schedule it with the brothel and make sure you are actually ready for it. I am not saying that I am just wanting to have s with you girls, but you have to realize that when you do this test then you will most likely have to do missions in the near future for that as well, so make sure you are ready." Sakura blinked and said, "You're not really wanting to do this, are you, Naruto?" Naruto said, "Truthfully, no. I finally have someone who loves me for me, but I can't stand the ideal of her being forced to do it with some stranger. At least this way she can be with someone who cares for her." Tenten said, "That is so sweet." Naruto smiled a little and the rest of the trip went by with relative silence as everyone was deep in thought. As the gates of Konoha appeared in the distance, Naruto sighed as he reached behind him and pulled both swords off his back as he threw them high into the air, and he quickly pulled a scroll from his weapon pouch and bit his thumb before opening the scroll and smearing the blood across a seal on the open scroll as both swords came flying back down side by side toward the open scroll and disappeared into the scroll, and everyone was shocked and Kakashi asked, "What was that?" Naruto said, "That was a storage seal I read in Miria journal. I added it to this scroll for quick sealing of my weapons and scrolls." As he pulled out all his weapons and dropped them into the scroll, and then pulled out all his other scrolls and dropped them all into the open scroll. Once done, Naruto closed the scroll and it glowed a moment, and Naruto said, "Hey team, catch," as he tossed the scroll and Sasuke caught it. Sasuke asked, "What's this for Dobe?" Naruto said, "We got 2 teams of Anbu heading this way right now. I figure one is to ensure that Zabuza is not a threat and the other is most likely to arrest me, and I don't want anyone getting into my stuff, so without my blood nobody can get into that scroll. Keep it safe for me." Before anyone could say anything, 8 swirls of leaves appeared around the gathered group and all of the 8 figures wore Anbu mask, and one in a cat mask said, "Zabuza Momoki, A rank missing nin from the mist. What are you doing here?" Kakashi said, him and his apprentice wished to join the Hidden Leaf Village after helping to rescue some of our genin from several root members as well as escaped prisoner Mizuki. They are both under my protection at the moment, as he stepped forward. Kat said, "Very well. Dragon Squad will escort you and them to the Hokage office, however Naruto Uzumaki must come with us for debriefing." Naruto smirked and said, "Told you so. Let's go," as he placed his hands in front of him, palm up, showing he was not going to fight or resist. Kat walked over and said in a soft whisper, "I am sorry about this, Uzumaki-san," as she placed chakra cuffs on his wrist. Naruto said, "Don't worry about it. I knew before I ever left I would most likely be locked up, but I had to do it." Just then an Anbu appeared behind Naruto and he tensed as a needle went into his en and Sasuke screamed, "Hey!" as he went to stop them, but Kakashi grabbed his shoulders, stopping him. Kakashi asked, "I understand the cuffs, but why the drugs?" Kat said, "I am sorry Kakashi-senpai, but Uzumaki has been ranked as an SS rank ninja in the bingo book while you were away and is considered extremely dangerous even if he is unarmed, shocking everyone." Sakura asked, "But why? That doesn't make sense." Kat said, "I am sorry, but those were the orders of the Hokage and the council. He must be restrained and kept like this until his trial." Neji asked, "Exactly what is he going to be on trial for?" Kakashi sighed and said, "Shinobi of our village are held to strict conditions they must follow concerning missions. Naruto admitted to all of us that he left the village under a false mission. He may have had a point with why he did it, but he is only a genin, a strong one but still a genin, and he has not earned the right to decide if he should withhold information like he did, so he must face the military council and explain his actions, though I must ask, why was his rank increased? The last time I checked he was a B rank ninja, not an SS rank. In fact the only other ninja to ever have an SS rank was his FA. I see, someone must have discovered he knows that. As he placed his hand under his chin in thought. Kat said, "Well, I am sorry, but we must take him to Anbu headquarters to await his trail." "Excuse me," as she shushed away while holding Naruto along with 3 others. Once they were gone, Kakashi said, "Shall we?" as he motioned toward the village gates. Team 7 and 9 continued on their way with Zabuza, Haku and a team of Anbu into the village and in to see the Hokage. When Naruto awoke he found himself in a chair in the middle of a room with a light shining down on him while the rest of the room was in total darkness, and Naruto thought, I would say there are around 20 people in the room. A voice Naruto did not recognize said, "I see you are awake. Good." Naruto looked around and thought, I can't tell who it is that is talking or where exactly they are either. The voice said, "Now you might be wondering where you are. Currently you are in the military tribunal and I am the chief interrogator. For now you can call me Justice and you will only talk to me. No one else in the room will answer your questions. You must answer all questions truthfully or this trial will end and you will be found guilty. You are charged with withholding information, fraud, leaving the village illegally, and actions that are unfit of a ninja of this village." Naruto snorts at the last one and Justice said, "Something you find funny?" Naruto said, "Just thinking if I do get busted for the last one then Kakashi-sensei and Guy-sensei are next, because according to the ninja code of honor you should not be late and Kakashi always late, and as for Guy, well nobody should walk around in that much spandex scaring the minds of the innocent." Justice said, "I am not amused Uzumaki." Naruto said, "Namikaze?" And Justice asked, "What?" Naruto said, "If you are going to officially charge me then use my legal name, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Justice was silent a few moments and said, "Very well Namikaze. How do you plead to the charges you have been charged with?" Naruto said, "Guilty under extreme prejudice and extenuating circumstances." Justice said, "Duly noted. Now please explain your actions." Naruto said, "Only if I am given clearance from the Hokage to speak about S-rank level secrets with everyone in this room. The information I have to use as my defense for the charges could result into a war between Konoha and another village, as well as a threat that could destroy not only Konoha but every hidden village. I know it's illegal for him to say anything at this time since Ibiki-sensei had me read the laws of Konoha, but there is a way to legally get around that. If he agrees he can tell you Justice the answer to a simple question that only 2 people know besides myself, and then you can tell the answer. Without it I will remain silent." A few minutes went by and Justice said, "Very well, but this is your last act of leniency." Naruto said, "All right, how many enemy ninja were caught during the Hyuga Cloud incident?" Justice snorts and said, "Even I know that answer, kid. 1. Naruto smirked and said, "I will forgive you for not knowing since it was a very well kept secret, but you are wrong. Now unless your next answer is the correct one then I will remain silent. I won't give this information away without the Hokage permission." A few minutes went by and Naruto was sure he could feel ki coming from his right and Justice said, 6. Naruto said, "Correct. Now you ask what was my reasons for my actions. It begins with the mission at which I was captured. I was originally sent with Anko-sensei to interrogate a prisoner teammate captured to help rescue the mayor's daughter and several other women who were being held prisoner. During the interrogation I used what I had been taught, and after inflicting tea on the prisoner and was about to carry out my most used version of tea when he cracked and spilled his guts about the camp. I inquired if there was any ninja present with what men were still there as well as traps. He gave the name Riko Brugi. Anko-sensei then mentioned she had a run-in with that man not too long before and she could handle them while I stayed in town and teammate to guard the prisoner. After she left I discovered she was walking into a trap. Justice asked, exactly how did you interrogate him? Naruto sighed and said, first I used fear tactics while I administered a pain-enhancing drug into his body. Then I began at his feet making slashes into his skin as I moved toward his manhood, at which point I was preparing to castrate him to make him talk. A few moments later a not so confident voice said, very well, how did you discover Anko was walking into a trap? Naruto said, went to a brothel, took the owner for all he was worth while getting on friendly terms with one of the working girls. She then told me about how the girls we were looking for were being held prisoner in the back of the brothel and that the Konoha ninja had been called because the people behind the attack on the village was wanting a particular person, though nobody in the town knew who it was except those who were involved in holding the town prisoner. I had then quickly returned to Team 8 and used more drastic measures to get the information from him, which he spilled his knowledge about my prisoner and that I was the one they were after. Team 8 and I then went to save Anko, and during the fight I senior myself to save the others. Luckily I had poisoned both Itachi and Kisame, though Itachi, being still a loyal Konoha shinobi, let himself to ensure that I would escape, but not before giving me his eye while I was knocked out. Justice said, so you're saying Itachi was loyal? Naruto said, when the Uchiha M was ordered by 3 recently deceased members of the council who forced him to carry it out in exchange for saving his brother's life, then yes, I do. It was nearly 20 minutes later when Justice said, very well, your answer has been noted. Now please continue. Naruto said, well, on my way back I went over everything that had happened, coming to terms with the idea that I did have my first K, even if it was given to me by Itachi through his own and silence. I also thought over how they knew so much about me when I began to believe that someone had to be supplying the group that Itachi and Kisame worked for with information on me. I then remembered the name Riko Brugi and what Anko had said about him. I used my training to check Anko mission record and I discovered that she had ran into Riko very recently, too recent for them just to use that name from hearing about her encounter with him through rumors or other means. That told me someone either close to Anko or someone with access to mission information was supplying information on me, and those close to me to Akatsuki, the group that Itachi and Kisame worked for. Justice asked, what did you do with this information? Naruto said, because of who I am, I knew that without concrete evidence that no one would believe me, and whoever was giving the information out would just go into hiding once I convinced someone to check it out, so I began to train harder while using my unique henjin, my clones, to watch those who were close to Anko-sensei for something that could be considered questionable. Luckily she is only close to around 5 people, so it was not hard for me to watch them. Justice asked, did you inform Anko of this? Naruto snorts and said, you must not know anything about truly trusting someone. Anko-sensei only lets those she absolutely trusts close to her because of the actions of her former sensei. I refused to cause her or anyone close to her pain because of my suspicions without 100% proof. Justice asked, what if you were caught spying on her friends? Naruto said, simple, I would tell them I was trying to work on my stealth and observation skills by watching Anko and those close to her so I could figure out how to survive her training she put me through. It's true, even though it was my secondary objective. A few minutes of silence and Justice said, very well, please continue. Naruto said, well, through an information broker I was able to get some information on a person who had answers that I felt was very valuable to Konoha and myself, and so I used a few connections that I had made through questionable means and helped set up an excuse for me to leave the village with really no information that could be tracked to capture me or harm the village. I then made myself available at the right time and place to use a third party to handle the business end of the mission. Justice said, yes, I see here where you were to retrieve a stolen sword. That was obviously a lie. Naruto said, not really, the sword was real, as was the story behind it as well as what happened to it. It was an item I could retrieve while I was going to meet the person I needed to meet. Justice asked, which was? Naruto said, Mirai, the Jinchuriki of the Sanbi. About 5 minutes later Justice asked, what was it you were wanting to talk to him about that you did what you done? Naruto said, having only learned about my status as a Jinchuriki the day I graduated from the academy, I was not actually aware of what it meant to be a Jinchuriki besides being treated like a plague. With the incident that happened shortly after graduation, I was worried about what Kyuubi could and could not do to me to attempt to break free. I figure talking with someone who was as unique as I was in my situation could give me advice. Justice asked, what event are you speaking about? Naruto sighed as he closed his eyes and asked, I can tell for whatever reason I can't use chakra, but besides the cuffs on my feet I am unrestrained. May I remove my shirt so those here could understand what I am referring to? Justice said, very well. Naruto slowly reached for his shirt and pulled it off and said, as you can see, I have many scars on my body currently. However, after everything that happened to me when I was younger, my skin was perfect before, so why is it have scars now? The answer is simple. The fox and I met and I pissed him off, so he decided to allow me to see what my precious village has done to me to try and break me mentally, and so his chakra still heals me but leaves the scars. I thought if Kyuubi had that much influence over my body, then there was a chance that it might escape, so I wanted to speak to someone who had experience dealing with a demon to try to figure out exactly what was going on. Justice asked, why did you not tell anyone about meeting the fox? Naruto said, considering the fact the only way the Sandaime was able to keep members of the council from having me killed after the sealing was to, and I quote, if nothing else. With our village currently in its weakened state, with the loss of our manpower as well as the war we are currently in with Kumo, we can use him as a deterrent to make Kumo and the rest of our enemies to believe we have a super weapon in our control waiting to be released, as well as discovering that the man I thought of as a grandfather has lied to me from day one. Yeah, I can see someone I could turn to for help dealing with Kyuubi. Silence ran over the room for several minutes and Justice asked, so you feel you're in a better position to decide the threat of Kyuubi to the village? Naruto looked straight ahead and said, you want to know something, bud? I could care less at this point what you thought of my opinion on Kyuubi. I mean the way I see it, you K me, I win and Konoha safe, you lock me away in a prison for the rest of my life and defend me from the Mizukage himself, Uchiha Madara and his little renegade terrorist group Akatsuki to ensure they never get Kyuubi and is of old age in a cell, meaning I win again, or you let me go and let me train to get strong enough to fight Uchiha Madara and I win again. My life doesn't mean s. I am a Jinchuriki, a human sacrifice. I will find happiness when I can and I will do everything I can to protect those precious to me, and even after everything the people of Konoha has done to me, I still feel they are precious to me just like my father did. I may not be as powerful as he was or have done as much as he did, but when I will be one of, if not the only shinobi in the history of the world who defended their village every day of their life. As long as and Kyuubi still in his prison to go to hell with me, then I completed the mission Dad gave me, as he leaned back and looked at the light above him. The Sandaime's voice came through the room and asked, how far are you willing to go to complete that mission, Naruto? Naruto said, before I went on this mission I never truly understood the threat Kyuubi represented. To me it was just something that I never could get a real idea of how evil it was. Then I met Mirai and learned the fate that awaits me and those close to me should I use the Kyuubi power or not stand up against it with everything I could. Do you have any idea what it's like to look at a man who becomes like a brother to you and hear him tell how he underestimated his prisoner one too many times and it took over his body and killed his wife with just his bare hands? To see him gladly to surrender his life so he could be with her again. To ask someone to honor your final wish and make sure the beast that ruined every ounce of happiness you ever faced in your life I won't let Kyuubi have the chance the Sanbi had. I will protect everyone, even from myself. That is how far I am willing to go, with conviction in his voice. The room was silent for around an hour before the light overhead went out and Naruto heard someone come beside him and felt the cuffs come off of his feet, and then a few moments later the room was returned to normal lighting and Naruto saw he was in a holding cell with glass walls, and the Sandaime came into the room and walked in front of Naruto and looked at him and after several minutes said, you are so much like your father, Naruto. Naruto asked, so? The third sighed and motioned with his arm and an Anbu brought another chair and the Sandaime said, leave us. After that he sat down in the chair and asked, "Do you have any idea what kind of situation you have placed me in at the moment, Naruto?" Naruto said, "I have an idea." The third said, "Damn it, Naruto, you have no idea what you have done," as he unleashed a massive amount of ki at Naruto, who sweated a little but not much. The third took several deep breaths and pulled a book out of his robe and said, "Turn to page 1, Naruto." Naruto looked at the book and saw it was a bingo book, and he opened it and read, "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, aka Doc 7. Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Kitsune. Rank officially Genin, unofficially ranked SS. Age 15. Hair blonde. Eyes 1 blue, 1 Sharingan. History. Ked S rank missing nin Uchiha Itachi. Ked S rank missing nin Hoshigaki Kisame, member of the Seven Swordsmen. Ked S rank missing nin Mirai, Jinchuriki of the Sanbi, leader of the Seven Swordsmen. Ked the Sanbi after release. Ked B rank missing nin Mizuki. Ked B rank missing nin Mizu. Ked B rank missing nin Gozo. Assassinated multi-millionaire shipping tycoon Gato and his bodyguards. Ked nearly 200 mercenary. Defeated A rank missing nin Zabuza Momaki, member of the Seven Swordsmen. Notable jutsu. Haraishin. Mizubunshin no Jutsu, water clone. Kijibunshin no Jutsu, shadow clone. Cage Shuriken no Jutsu. Kirigakure no Jutsu, hidden mist technique. Bunshin Bakua shadow clone explosion. Amaterasu. Rose whip, poisoned and non-poisoned. Master swordsman. Expert of tea and interrogation, infiltration, assassination, poisons, human anatomy. Note: flee on sight orders issued from both Rain Country and Mist. Naruto blinked and blinked again and said, "Whoa, why the hell did you put all this in there about me, and why do the Mist and Rain have flee on sight orders for me?" The third said, "I didn't put this in there. In fact, if I could, I would have had you removed completely, Naruto." Naruto asked, "Then who did, and how did they get so much info on me?" The third said, "All I know is it was put in the bingo book, and then the man who placed you in it disappeared." Naruto frowned and asked, "So what now?" The third looked at Naruto sadly and said, "X. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye."